you running around with a weapon out is a good idea.
I agree. I
'Cause-
think actually what you said makes sense. I think really harsh charges should probably be pretty clear,
Mm.
and really minor charges should probably be a little more open to argument.
Yeah.
I wasn't even doing anything.
Well, did you go with Max to check out like weapons licenses yesterday? I thought, or he brought that up real quick when I talked to him.
We talked about weapons license a little bit. My opinion, honestly, is I think I'll be comfortable issuing weapons licenses to civilians when if and when people start illegally importing unlicensed firearms. So for example, if all of a sudden people start trafficking crates of fucking P250s into the country, and there's criminals running around with firearms everywhere, then I could see like a public safety need to have civilians own firearms. But my concern is if I
Do it now.
give
you're a
civilian
target.
licenses before that issue with criminal guns, then essentially I'm just
putting a
opening it
target.
up to a cost benefit equation, right? So I'm criminal number 435, and I say, okay, the weapons license is $75,000.
Yeah.
How many guns can I buy and give to my friends before it gets removed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also
And
feel
then
like if you,
and I do an equation of is that worth it, and how much are the fines when those guns get caught? And honestly, given the fact that people are already risking what amounts to close to $50,000 for robbing a cop and having their gun, I don't see why they wouldn't abuse a civilian license, even if I made it 75 or 100K. So,
yeah, when you put it like that, it makes sense because if you do it as well, you're putting a target on them as well because they don't have
100%.
access.
They're gonna get robbed. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's gonna try to hunt them down.
Yeah, so if you have access, I guess they won't care too much about it, and you don't have that target. That makes sense. I'm not against
Yeah,
that.
it's just I again, I think we should do things when there's a demonstrable need, not because there's a want.
Yeah.
I like that.
How do you feel about people with families
I'm fine with
having
I could.
part of
That's
like
one less
a
thing for me then.
non-profit
No.
business sort of thing?
No.
No, okay.
People with felonies shouldn't own businesses, period.
I agree.
Yeah, same.
People with felonies shouldn't be
Yeah.
able to own anything, really.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Hear ye, hear ye. The Council of Eight hereby readjourns. Hooray!
Hello.
Huzzah!
Huzzah.
Huzzah.
Reconvenes, I mean.
Oh. Am I sitting down? Am I
Yes.
sitting
Yep.
down?
You
You
are.
should- what a strange question, Juno.
I know. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Wait, was that a wacky tobacco cigarette?
Yeah.
Me?
No.
No,
No, it wasn't.
I don't
Illegal.
do drugs. I don't do drugs. I
Definitely
don't do
wasn't.
drugs. I don't do drugs.
Okay.
I don't do drugs. I've
One of
never
the-
touched
Wait,
them.
why are you saying it so many times over and over?
One of those
Because
jazz
I used
cigarettes?
to be an addict.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You been boofing, you candy flipping, you son of a bitch.
Okay, so I heard Philippa say that she had something.
I have
Yeah.
something, and I know she does too. Yeah.
I just have discussions essentially. I haven't actually plotted all this out yet. There were two things I've already talked to Malton about that I want to try to come up with. One is some form of patient privacy laws
Yeah, two
that
former.
are going to be way less stringent than what people might be used
Well,
to
the mayor is a former
in other districts, because
terrorist.
that would be terrible. So I might try to come up with something for that. The other thing, this is more of a question for Ukraine. It's been proposed a concept of medical report request subpoenas. So essentially,
The thing is, if you
essentially,
really think
in
about it,
situations where they can't get
Michael is great for this position.
confirmation from the patient that it's okay for the officers to get a report, they'd have to submit a subpoena on the probable cause of why they actually need the report, essentially to protect, people's rights and everything. Because a lot of that
Did they give you,
information just
like,
gets
an
posted on the
example?
docket. Yeah, the big thing is a victim of a violent crime. It used to be in the past, if a victim of a violent crime
Bro.
came into the hospital, cops could request that report and
She
just
looks-
get it immediately without ever speaking to the patient. Sometimes the patient wouldn't even go into the ICU; they would just be out and about, but they still
Fucking
wouldn't
Kentra
even be
looks
aware
like
that the cop is requesting this report.
literally
And
like the
then that
fucking
information would get posted on the docket to someone's private medical information, and they weren't even aware. And we've actually seen this happen a few times. So essentially, I want to prevent that happening.
the
Same with
glowy
lawyers
fucking
as well.
glasses.
They should actually have to try to get those.
I don't disagree with what you said about shorter. As long as you don't try to implement HIPAA and you keep it to like a page or two, I'm okay.
Oh God, yeah, no. If you know anything about how I do things, I would like it to
I found her.
one, not be something that is too heavy criminally. It should not be something where people are getting arrested because they accidentally slip up or something. Just kind of a framework on things, like things like putting someone's medical records on the docket. That should, that should mean something if you're doing that. It would be a lot simpler than HIPAA is for sure.
Okay.
So you're open to the subpoenas I do? I can speak to judges about it as well, but since you are, kind of the top dog there, I figured I'd bring it up to you.
I'm for it.
Yeah, so just that cops would need to subpoena for records?
Pretty much. I'm still plotting out exactly in which cases. Our initial thought was they come to us and request the report, and they explain to us why they need it. If we deny that, then they can take it to a judge. So it almost never goes to them. But it can if they really need them, if that makes sense.
Hey, I'm gonna be honest with you, I have a pretty good standing relationship with Mr. Shaw over there. So if he's signing off on something, it's good with me.
Hell yeah, okay.
Mine is actually a little bit related to that, specifically records. So a lot of people have come up to me, and with the notebooks that have been imported into the city in the past couple weeks, a lot of people are using these for either records or just ideas for potential business proposals, contracts before they reach the phone, et cetera, et cetera. There have been some concerns that have been voiced to me, and I believe Nakota can correct me on this, but if someone is just carrying around a notebook, the police can search that, as part of their inventory process. Like, it's not just that they have a notebook on them, it's they have a notebook on them and inside is XYZ. Are we wanting to give any kind of protection to potentially,
I feel like
just say
I feel like
information
they
in notebooks?
I feel like they should need a warrant to search someone's notebook, right?
Well, that's
So-
what I'm asking
Does it
everyone.
fall
Here's
Yeah.
okay. So
Same as
here's
the
this has
phone.
been. I've discussed this several times with PD command, lawyers, judges, whatever. So
Right.
here's where we're at. Couple legal principles. I'll make this as brief as I can. So, when you have a warrant, the warrant needs to list specifically what you are searching for. So if I have a warrant to search Malton's house because he's a drug dealer and I caught him dealing drugs and I think he has more drugs, and specifically in question, I'm looking for like marijuana, right? I wouldn't, I wouldn't look in like, the corner of his wallet or something. I would look for areas where like marijuana could reasonably be stored. In the case of what we're talking about, there wouldn't be much reason that a cop would go into someone's house, see a book, open the book, and start reading it. They might turn the book upside down and shake the pages to see if any marijuana fell out of the book or there was a hidden compartment, but reading the book would probably be a violation of the terms of the search because it wouldn't be in plain view. So the other legal principle is search incident to lawful arrest, which means when you are placed under arrest for a crime and you are
Dope
processed
sleeve.
into
Thank
the
you.
jail at LSPD, into the cells, and you are
I
sent
need to
to
get
prison
more
in
shit
Bolingbrook,
done. I think I'm gonna have to go.
all of your possessions can be inventoried
Monday.
and searched by the PD. Now, the reason for that search is safety and accountability, right? Much like towing a car, you inventory the car because you need to be safe and you need to be ensured that, let's say, someone can't say later, I had 2 diamond coated Rolexes in that car and now they're missing, the PD stole them. So when you inventory all someone's items,
I need to meet him in
you're
person.
looking for contraband to make sure they can't bring it into the jail, and you're also looking to make sure that you're accountable for what they had on them. The part where I get stuck is I don't know if reading a book is a search. The most parallel argument that we have would be a phone.
Yeah.
And the argument that, for example, Rami made is, well, if someone's phone gets cataloged and then the cops want to get data off the phone, they typically have to file a search warrant.
Right.
And that is correct. But again, the reason for that is
Phone.
because phones are typically password protected, which means that people have taken measures to keep the information safe and secret. Whereas if it's just a loose leaf notebook, then you get into discussions about, well, what's the difference between a loose leaf
actually
notebook and a
nay.
piece of paper that's folded up in their pocket?
Yeah, I'd say nay.
So if a cop can unfold a piece of paper in their pocket and read what's on the piece of paper, what's the difference between opening a book?
Yeah.
So we get into a lot of really minor nuance and minutia of law that, in my
Don't
opinion,
write
is
shit
not best
in a
served by an
book.
argument that I make in a room with you guys, but probably best served by court cases
No,
through
just
common law.
don't go
So,
around
for
with a book on
example,
you
if
that
someone's
has
book
dumb
is
shit in
seized
it.
during processing and read by the PD, then I think that person should sue the PD for an unlawful search and seizure. And then the courts can decide based on the circumstances how the law should go. But in terms of legislating it right now, I think it's far too nuanced and complicated to be worthwhile.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
I just want to confirm something. And so under our current legal protections, if a notebook is in a house, at least the warrant would have to cover reading that notebook for them to go
Correct.
through it. Okay, then I think
Right.
that's a good baseline.
Yeah, and again, it's so nuanced and it's such a small circumstance of law that I just trying to set policy ahead of time, I think, is a fool's errand.
Fair. The last thing on my list is Civilian Oversight Board. I mean, Crane. We obviously talked a bit
Yeah,
about
I was
that.
about to say, like,
Yesterday.
what
This
if
was
it's
after
but
our
then again,
meeting, unfortunately, Dakota.
you usually get
Oh,
something signed
is
to go
there
and check their house.
is there anything that we like as a council need to decide with the Civilian Oversight Board in terms of like eligibility or anything like that? Or
Yes, I was going to allow the council to decide that in terms of so the way that I envisioned the Civilian Oversight Board and the way it was constructed was there would be the head of the bar who would chair the board, and then there would be 4 civilians elected to positions underneath the head of the bar. I had not, outside of saying no felonies, I hadn't really come up with a criteria for how we would allow those people to run for election. So I don't know if you guys have any ideas. Maybe you want to make it no arrestable offenses. Maybe you want to make it so they, you know, I don't know. I don't know what it would be.
Fucking
No felonies. I don't know how else you would determine someone's eligibility. I mean, obviously they can't be dumb as fuck, right? But
well, it's a popular vote, right? Or is that
that's
like a public vote?
Yes.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If you're doing a murder case, you already got access to somebody's house. There's no way you wouldn't be able to get
I think I could agree with
access
no
to their
violence.
book or like
no violence.
diary or whatever.
No
It would
violent
be
crimes,
part
no
of that
felonies.
case. It would make
Are we
sense.
married to the idea of them being voted in?
Not necessarily. The only reason I was keen to the idea originally was because my vision is that if this is a police oversight function, the way that the public would best embrace it is if they truly knew that actual members of the public were on the board.
If it's
Right.
You
If
know.
it's just a bunch of government types, you know, then I don't think it carries the same weight.
for weed, I don't see why they would
But
have
no,
to
I'm not. I'm open to
articulate.
suggestion any other way.
They would have to articulate the
Yeah,
reason
like,
why they would have to look
it's like,
in
I
the
don't
book.
have a good idea.
If the book is
for
literally
the-
labeled
the
weed
thought of a
contacts
popular vote,
or something, then
just-
yes.
it
But other than
doesn't
that,
sit
they wouldn't
well
have a
with
reason to
me.
look in a book.
Because people will just do stupid shit for the memes and it just won't be taken seriously.
Well,
But
I mean, maybe the position should be very well described because it's not. I mean, it's not going to be super fun. I mean, they're
Right.
literally going to sit in there and listen to testimony for a couple hours at a time.
yeah.
If you make the qualifications very strict, I feel like you could help filter out some of those issues right off the bat if it were to be a popular vote.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
but
then
that's the
what
thing. They just need to make sure
qualifications?
they
I
put
I mean,
that
agree with you. I'm just
No violent,
yeah.
no violent crimes, no
In-
felonies. I think weeds out a
in
lot of
the-
undesirables.
It really
the
does. Yeah.
warrant.
And I think if people have clean records,
If they think there
and
is
they
something in the
are
books,
undesirable, they're probably
that
more
there
worried
so they
about
can
whatever
read
the
the
hell they're
books.
not getting caught for right now anyway.
What about? I mean, it's in the name, right? Civilian Oversight Board, but there are, let's say, niche government rules that might be in between. You know, the traditional ones, such as a police officer and a doctor. You know, like for example, I don't know if she has any interest, but could a
It doesn't make sense, no. But then they would have to make their case why they
My
need to look
opinion was
into it,
that this was to be actual civilians,
and then
Yeah.
you can take them to
not
court
people who
if
hold
that is the
government
case.
positions.
So
For
I mean,
maybe
so if
like
you're,
yeah, it's
so-
hard. It's a
I'm
like
fine with
he
that.
like Crane
So,
said,
like,
it's an iffy
even-
thing.
Okay, no, yeah, I'm trying to think how to phrase it. You can't be paid by the state, basically, unless
Correct.
it's a state-run
Correct.
job.
The whole idea is that these are unbiased folks from all walks of life who have an interest in seeing the police be held accountable.
Okay.
If you start introducing government employees and things like that, you start getting into
Yeah, it defeats the
you know
purpose.
biases and perceived biases and all that.
This
Will,
is
will the Civilian Oversight Board have access to important documents that allow them to actually conduct their job properly?
So I have access to everything PD ever has written and will write. In terms of the Civilian Oversight Board, if a case is taken on by the board and Malton reviews it and finds there is merit in his preliminary review to take on the case, then he
said
will
it's a slippery
request
slope.
corresponding documentation to that case
From
from
you?
me, and then
Okay.
I will provide whatever is relevant, as long as it is not tied to an
Yes,
ongoing
exactly.
investigation.
If people
Is,
are
And
dumb,
again,
it's
I
on
will
them.
make sure that those claims are valid if they are made.
What are the efforts we're making to make sure that the local police force are literate? Because I've encountered at least 2 cops who have claimed that they cannot read.
Who was
Like,
that?
Sorry,
Dakota?
what?
Bones and who else? The Plummis guy.
Bones can read, he just can't write.
Okay.
He's
Well,
a
what
hunt and pecker.
There's
He
also
writes
a
like
chance-
30 words a minute.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Bones
don't know
might just
about
be
that
sag
Clemens
farming,
guy.
honestly. Trying
Oh, you
to.
think so? Okay. Good. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
So it goes back to civilian. I guess I want to specifically get to lawyers then, because they've always been the redheaded stepchild of government employees. I'm fine with there being no other lawyers on the board. We don't want it to be a lawyer oversight board. However, I believe in our current penal code, which is
I'm
a
not against
holdover,
it.
they are not classified as government employees.
Apparently, they fucking are, because they're taking our fucking
Yeah,
money,
They
man.
get
they
paid
are.
by the government.
Are they?
so-
I thought
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
kidnapping a government employee didn't list lawyers.
Oh, no. For the purposes of those charges, no, but they're on the payroll.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they're still considered. Yeah.
Lawyers are a hybrid only because they are one of the few government positions, subsidized positions, that can hold a private and a public interest at the same time. For example, you sign in as a public defender, you take every cell rep that comes to you, you don't have a choice. However, if you also want to take on clients who pay you $100,000 to sue their wife for a divorce or whatever, then you can do that as well. So they both are and they aren't.
All right. Well, going back to eligibility for this board, I mean, civilians. I think we're all pretty agreeing on that. But anyone have any ideas other than a popular vote? Like, do they have to? Can they be vetoed by the council or anyone after the fact if we don't?
Why
like
don't
who
we
the
do a
vote is?
popular vote
I'm sorry, what was
where
that,
you
Crane?
can pick? Why don't we do a popular vote where you can pick multiple choice,
Okay.
and we take the top 8 and we pick 4.
I just donate to
Sounds good.
charity.
I
That's a
like
good
that.
idea.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, do
Thank you.
interviews like we did for treasurer.
Uh,
Appreciate that.
Are we voting on this? I don't think so, right? Actually, we could. Yeah, we could.
Okay.
We
yeah.
are voting on the
Yeah.
way that we assemble the board. Yes.
Yes.
Do we have good notes on this right now, Alex?
So I mean, you're voting on.
Speak up.
You're voting on a potential popular vote, multiple choice.
I am completely so
And
out of this
then-
conversation.
Selection would probably be around 8, if that many people apply, and then potentially moving forward for interviewing them.
Yep. And we pick 4 from the 8.
I would like just in case just as the mayor has like a tiebreaker vote in legislative matters, if it's a 4-4 vote on a civilian oversight board matter, I think head of bar should get the tiebreaker for who gets on the actual board at the end in that case.
Agreed.
I'm okay with that. Makes sense to me.
Seems fair. Yeah.
Yep. I don't know what I'm
Okay,
agreeing
so
to,
any
disagree.
nays
down.
on the matter of election of people in the civilian oversight board?
Nope.
It is passed unanimously. Good work.
Cool. I'll get that written up and draft as well.
Another concern that I just realized,
Mm.
the reckless evading fine is going to be lower than the highest speeding fine right now. If we go through with the speeding changes.
I can't
If you
take.
would like to go through some
unfortunately-
charges, I'd be happy
I
to.
need to talk to
Unfortunately,
Crane
a
about
lot of
NPT
charges are going to
access
be
like that.
low now because
Yeah.
the way that we established the fines during the restructuring was we did a blanket 40% cut to all fines.
Right.
So doubling the speeding fines is going to make them out of proportion with a lot of things.
Well, my point was, do we want to make it proportionate, or at least
I
more
think
than
we
the
should
highest tier?
probably maybe we should
Yes.
adjust them down a little bit.
What adjust what down?
What up, see it?
How about this? You're
The
talking about
speeding,
this?
the
Speeding
speeding
fines?
fines rather than go through all the rest of the charges.
Did you already update them, by the way?
Yes.
Good work. I was just thinking about popping reckless evading at 1,000. Yeah.
That's not a hot take, but it's also not feasible.
So here would be my only thing is if you go to the charges and then you go just on the default view and then you scroll down to
Oh, some co shift going. Good.
what is it?
I'm surprised that Max or Moon is actually cracking down on people like that. That's good to see.
The
that
operation of a vehicle section. If you go all the way
he
down there,
actually is
you're gonna see
for,
that
but
outside of
against
like street
criminals.
racing and
I think
organizing a street
he's
race,
for criminals,
uh,
but he's against dumb criminals.
you're gonna be hard pressed to
He is literally
find a fine
Perfect.
that's relatable to current speeding fines.
Okay.
Mm.
Because
I mean,
like evading, for example, is less than a third-degree speeding ticket. So my suggestion is that we're probably better off adjusting the speeding tickets down than we are adjusting everything else up.
I still like the speeding fines being at where they're at. I mean, if people are going to flee to avoid a speeding ticket, they still get the. It's not stacking to say you were speeding and evading because speeding was the initial reason
down to the last
stop.
Yeah.
I also think if we're looking at all these traffic-related fines, the most common one people do is the speeding one. Like we're not worried about people not using their turn signal or running a red light. It's about people who are speeding through the city, and they should be dinged harshly for that.
I have no problem saying that we think that speeding fines need to be excessively harsh because we're giving people a lot of leeway by increasing the speeds.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just be aware that as a city council member, you will probably get either someone from PD or some civilian being like, why the fuck, is the third-degree speeding ticket more than evading? And that makes no sense. And blah, blah, blah.
Well, yeah, that's why I just wanted to raise the speeding related ones to kind of like be in step with that. I know it's more work, but I'm willing to do the work is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm actually. If the mayor would like, I'd be happy to have a sit down with you where we can go over charges and look at which ones.
So
we
okay, well,
deem-
this is a whole separate topic now. So
yeah.
So we're saying that we want to raise the fines for all
Speeding related.
evading and speeding related charges.
Right.
Okay.
To be in step with the speeding changes that just happened.
Okay.
Okay. He just died on the inside, didn't he?
How many charges are we talking about?
So with the absence of street racing and organizing a street race, the parking and the non at speed charges such as illegal turn, failure to stop, unauthorized parking, proper identification, off-road, window tint, failure signal, misuse, all those would stay the same.
Right.
Right.
Driving on the wrong side would stay the same. Illegal passing, negligent driving would probably need to go up.
Yes.
So negligent driving gets doubled.
Mm-hmm.
Evading gets doubled. Hit and run gets doubled. DWI gets doubled.
Mm-hmm.
Felony hit and run, reckless evading, reckless driving, and operating is suspended.
Perfect.
Okay, I will go through and do all that now.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Yeah, and I will add that to the legislation. So I'll say updated
Keep
speed limits.
parallel.
Please note in accordance with these limit increases, the ranges and fines for the accompanying
Thank you so much for the
speeding
10.
citations have been narrowed and increased respectively. In addition, all moving violations have been increased.
Hmm.
Perfect.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, because people driving like assholes really needs to be like
Yes,
reined in.
it's a huge issue. Every
Agreed.
single injury we have pretty much is a car accident currently.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Tow trucks. Mhm.
This will be a good source of
Grind.
money for the state too.
Very
Yeah,
true.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll get all that
with-
set.
Okay. We're gonna say Dakota.
So I would just request, and I don't know how everyone else
Dakota.
feels. Vehicle registration fraud is not currently something that we have seen, but I would like it to be accompanied by a increase on license points, because that is it stands now. It's only time and fine and no points on your license if you
That's
commit
not true.
vehicle
Yeah,
registration
in
fraud.
1 hour and 40 minutes.
The only problem with that is that it's not an operating ticket. So, for example, you can get vehicle registration fraud for a parked car. And I don't know how we could justify points on a license when the person wasn't doing anything driving the car.
I was gonna make an argument, but I think
Ash,
I'll
thank you so much for
email
kicking
you
us off
about
as
it then,
well.
because I
Okay.
don't know how to articulate it properly.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else before we get to the dense part?
Yeesh.
Mr. Simone.
Stand your ground is a bit iffy.
Crane's an expert on stand your ground.
You noticed that, huh?
Like too
Yeah.
harsh, too lenient. What are you saying by
In what
iffy?
respect is it iffy?
It's hard to justify clapping back, basically, from how it's read currently, or am I incorrect? Like, it's hard to actually do something. If somebody breaks into your property, you are not really allowed to do much.
I feel like every time I go on a senior bun seller, they get out on stand your grounds.
So, stand your ground currently reads a person can use force to defend themselves or associates in their vicinity when they actually and reasonably believe they're in danger of serious bodily harm or death. However, a person is required to take reasonable steps, such as stepping back or walking away. They're consistent with the person's own safety to try to avoid the necessity of taking someone's life.
Right.
As soon as the imminent danger has passed, persons are required to inform authorities of what has transpired. So if I was you and someone broke into my house, I would articulate that I was already in my house, so I had nowhere else to retreat. And I believed that if they were brazen enough to break into my house, despite locks or alarms or whatever, then, I have no telling, what they're willing to do. And I reasonably feared for my life, especially if I warned them audibly that I was armed and had a gun and they persisted in intruding.
Okay.
Yes.
Fair.
Now,
I think I could articulate that pretty well.
People trying to use stand your ground to defend like their grime trucks or their group 6 trucks. Well, you have the option to run away and leave the loot behind.
It's state property.
And honestly,
They
that's
shouldn't
just
care.
a risk that you have to accept and
Yeah,
take.
well, I feel like that's state property anyways. In theory, they don't lose anything by
Yeah,
saving
nothing in that
themselves.
truck is worth your life,
Yeah.
or a reason to take a life. So
No, I agree with
some
that.
people may see it that way, but yeah, that's not just how that works. That's the risk you take at making so much more money. Honestly, if I'm going to be very blunt about it.
Well, it also comes back to like people not being smart about the way they drive a G6 truck and conduct business, but
Exactly.
I mean, and I intentionally when I mocked up this constitution, I removed the provision that talks about defending property.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the old stand your ground, you were able to defend property. Now it's just serious bodily harm or death.
all right.
Right.
Wouldn't you be able to, as like, if we use Rita as an example, like with the knife thing, where he pulls a knife, but he's saying that he's not going to do anyone harm. He's just there, doing his thing. Wouldn't he be able to do that as well? Or would you, like, the second he breaks into your property or forces his way into your property, he could still say that he's not there to harm you? Could that become an issue?
So it'd be whether you believe him or not. It'd be whether you reasonably and actually believe.
Right.
So, for example, if someone breaks into your house and you're warning them that you've got a gun, and you'll defend yourself, and they say, "Oh, I'm not here for you. I'm just here for the TV." And then you see like them spreading out and surrounding the house. I wouldn't believe them. I'd start shooting.
Fair
Mhm.
enough.
And I think that'd be pretty reasonable belief.
All right. Well, if that's the case, then I got nothing to add to that one.
And I will tell you, there have been very few times when I have found someone to violate stand your ground. Almost always it falls under the example of the threat is leaving and the person fires out of vengeance or spite.
Yeah,
So
if
for
you
example,
chase somebody
you
down
get
that
your
has,
like who was it? Was it a lawyer? It was somebody 5 or 6 years ago who was hanging out with a friend of theirs. Somebody walks up,
I chased
somehow had
somebody down.
lockpicked their truck when they weren't looking. The person gets in the driver's seat and starts to drive away. The person and their companion jump out of the way of the truck. The truck goes speeding down the road. The person pulls out a gun and starts popping shots at the truck.
yeah, that's
And at
not
that
stand your
point, you're not defending your property. Your property has already been taken. At that point, you're just executing someone in the back as they run away.
Yeah.
So I think that's the distinction I draw. But as long as you're on the defensive and you're not the aggressor, I think you're good.
All right. Sounds good. What else? Did we have anything else? I think I had one more thing, but now I forgot. I think we're
anything
good.
else going on with the rest of us before the density occurs?
Really quick, just for my note taking in regards to the oversight committee. So it was popular vote, multiple choice, top 8, council chooses 4. Did we agree to interviews, or are we just going to discuss them?
I think we did. When it gets down to that, like I would interview who's there.
Yeah. Are we good with interviews, or do we just want to discuss them?
I think that if members are interested in interviewing, they can be present and ask questions. If they're not, they don't have to be.
Okay.
And shot her. Yeah, but this is back in.
One more thing that I forgot
3.0.
briefly. This is. I'm just gonna bring this up here because I would hope this shouldn't have to be a legislation thing, but I've already run into it a few times. Is protection for medical staff in regards to treatment. We have some very enthusiastic lawyers currently that are trying to kind of nitpick those things and come
I
to
did.
us
They,
and
as much
try
as I
to
like,
potentially, it hasn't hit this point.
like
but
Dickhead.
try to
Does
potentially take my
does
doctor's
Dickhead have a
support
charge?
over
Is he still a
how
doctor?
a patient was treated. Generally, how we run things is, we are very open to unorthodox method of treatment. We trust our doctors to do the best judgment that they have in the moment. So if that continues to be an option, I might propose some sort of protections.
What
for
grounds
that.
do they have to
but I'm
sue?
very-
Don't we have state-sponsored healthcare? They pay for any of this?
right? That's
Yep.
that's what I'm wondering.
Question. There has been, and I don't know if you can confirm or deny this. I have heard that some doctors are unhappy with their current pay and will try and charge people.
I saw tweets about doctors being on strike 2 days ago.
Well,
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
They got a pay raise recently.
They did, I know. They think that we should be getting paid as much as Group 6 workers or something, and frankly, it's just not going to happen. I'm not asking for that. But the thing is that the doctors that are on strike, either they're just not working
not a
or they're
felon,
still
and,
treating them
fair.
anyways. So
They need to be careful though.
currently, it's been less of an issue within the hospital than you'd think. But there are some requesting tips after the fact, which I personally don't have a major issue with. They're still treating the individuals, so it's.
I mean, as
optional at
long
that
as
point.
they can ask, but I mean, they can't
refuse treatment.
pressure people. Yeah.
100%. Yes, that as well. No, we're very on top of that. But I mean, I think the pay's in a good place. We have a lot of good.
Well, that's
people
what
that
I
are happy
mean.
with it.
Yeah, like
They just need to
it's
be careful
dangerous
with
as fuck
hiring.
out there on the streets for these guys driving trucks, man. I drove them
Exactly.
for a
they
little
make
bit.
that much money because they risk getting robbed
It's
and
fuck.
stabbed.
I ran some grime, probably for about like a week shortly after the borders reopened and whatnot. I got robbed twice. And there were several other instances that I avoided robbery simply because the people who were trying to rob me recognized me, and they were like, "Oh, okay, well, you're good to go." It's fucked up. Tell these fucking doctors to stop whining.
No, fine with me. Trust me, I'm trying to be the nice one about it, and like I'm on their side at the end of the day, but I'm heavily discouraging any
Senior
of that
buns pay
because
should be the
it's just not
baseline.
helpful. They have extremely high demands, and they're kind of delusional on that front.
It's
to
a
be very
hard
frank.
thing
Hell, if
to.
they think it's better, tell them to wear Group 6. You got more doctors than we do cops. Fuck it.
That's the thing. We have some that just are, and they can do that if they want. But yeah, the ones that are sticking around.
It's a hard
are
thing to
really
balance.
standing
It's
out
not
front.
Yeah,
just
I don't got any sympathy.
put a
Like,
baseline. Just having a baseline.
5 or 6
doesn't
years
work.
ago, I was making $400 an hour as a lawyer, and this
Can't
is in the old
argue.
economy. So
If you're
that
talking
should give you
about
an idea
real
of how
life,
low that
no.
was.
If you're talking about gaming,
And then I was making
I
$660
think people
an
at
hour
senior
as a
buns
judge.
are
And I worked that job full time
having a
as well as running a free legal
harder
advice
time than
booth
doctors.
at the Dean World for a good 4 months to save up $300,000, put a down payment on a house, to then be under a loan for the next 5 months, working off that money. So I have zero fucking sympathy for anyone bitching about anything.
I was a
Oh, yeah, no,
mechanic.
the,
I was a
mhm.
mechanic for over a year and a half with no
Mhm.
ticket system. So yeah,
Yeah,
Philip,
no,
I got
the,
no
Philip.
passive pay.
yeah. What's up? Mhm.
Can you fire doctors?
Yes, we can. We do plan to.
Oh, I'm not like badgering you to do it. I was just curious if you had the power to do it.
Yeah, it's a discussion usually. But it's gone well so far. We've at least had one firing already.
one.
You're well aware of that one. It was that Desmond
Oh,
Walker. Yeah. He's our only firing so far. No one's even been fired for a felony yet, so that's pretty good.
Oh, nice.
Good.
It's pretty
We're
good.
talking
yeah,
about
good
Frog,
record.
right?
Yes, Frog.
Yeah,
I'm
okay,
surprised Eugene hasn't been.
Yeah.
I never actually knew his real name.
Yeah. I
That motherfucker lied to me about that shit. By
Oh,
the way.
he lied to a lot of people.
Oh
That
yeah,
was
he
a
straight
really
up lied to you. I
crazy
remember I was sitting out front,
situation. Yeah.
and the doctors came out and told me what he did, and you're like, no, not Frog. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, he was very nice to very specific people and anyone he didn't consider
Who
valuable enough.
is Frog?
No, he was not.
I see. So what you're saying is
yeah.
that because I was a prospective mayoral candidate, he was exceptionally nice to
Pretty
me.
much, yes. Yeah, exactly.
Who the fuck is Frog?
To jump back, sorry, I know this kind of derailed a little bit. To be very clear here, I'm on the same page with pay. That's not an issue where I'm bringing up. But how do y'all feel about protections for doctors when it comes to treatment?
I don't know how lawyers should be suing them anyway. What the fuck what are they suing the government?
Are they suing him in open court for
Who are they
$100?
suing? Are they suing the doctor themselves, or are they suing the government?
That's the thing, is they haven't tried yet, so I'm not trying to
Wasn't it
push
Gary?
it now.
What?
But we do way too frequently have.
Because, for
people
example,
come
when
and
you
try
sue
to nitpick
PD,
things.
when you sue a PD member
Gary with his
who was
fucking frog
acting in
mask?
accordance with their
Ain't no way.
duties,
Mhm.
you're suing them and their department.
Mhm.
So are they suing the hospital and the doctor?
Yeah, I don't really know. I've
Like
had
what kind of
Yeah.
Do we
like
have malpractice?
circumstances, or like is it just that like did they go in for a broken leg and had a liver removed, or is it that kind of a thing?
No,
or
not quite that level. Not quite that level yet, or anything like that.
okay. I mean, if they just didn't like how the doctor did things, but they still were treated properly, then I don't see what
exactly.
yeah, they have no
That's
ground
kind
to
of my
stand on.
thoughts.
You shouldn't
what's up,
legislate bedside manner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, Michael?
Do we have a malpractice law? Legislation? Anything?
No, we
Nope.
do not.
Should we have that?
And
Yeah.
I personally would not want that. I think that we have a high level of treatment options when it comes to our doctors. If someone were to abuse that trust, they would straight blatantly just be fired.
I'm just gonna say there are a number of reasons judicially why I could not foresee the feasible prosecution of malpractice cases.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think if it rises to the level of like extreme negligence, I mean, you could try to articulate like assault with a deadly or attempted murder at that point.
To be
anyway.
honest, yes. If someone fucked around that hard, if it's like the example that Etta gave, where it was very blatant malpractice, it wasn't just unorthodox treatment, they would likely just be fired, and that could potentially hit criminal charges level. But as for
Yeah.
treatment for what is, there, we do offer a lot of options for that, and I would prefer if that remained an option.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't think that that kind of thing should be entertained whenever the lawyers try to push. So
Hell yeah. Okay. I
Yeah.
think also the big thing that although I bring it up now, I don't think this needs to hit legislation levels is that judges aren't idiots. I think generally they could take a look at something and be like, well, you know, this doctor is a doctor. They're just trying to treat this individual the best they can. And hopefully that wouldn't go very far, but we'll see.
right. So maybe that's a discussion that you and Lance can have.
I mean,
kind of
if
keep
it's
an
a
eye
lawyer,
on.
I mean, yeah, if it's a lawyer pressing it, though, I'm assuming they're not doing this willy nilly. It's probably because someone called them and asked them to. So they're probably just
Yes.
doing their job at that point.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no hard feelings on that.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
but yeah. Okay. Good. I'm glad y'all are on essentially the same page. That just that's
Yeah,
helpful.
yeah.
Max is he's resting his eyes. He just texted me.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Could I
can we
broach
take-
this subject?
Wait, what is Max doing?
I don't really know how this would even work. This is obviously probably more geared towards Ukraine. Senor Buns. We've been having issues lately with, I'm using air quotes, the managers and the people who work there. As far as I've been led to believe is that nobody there actually has autonomy over anyone. It's just a who gets to work first and signs in type deal. Is that correct?
I don't know.
To answer your question,
What
Dakota,
is the sorry? What's the impetus for the issue?
They've self-appointed themselves like managers and things that are in charge.
Yeah.
I guess, is
We've
what I'm
also been
saying.
having issues where people get there and they're manager for the day and they start firing people, and it's causing some controversy with the staff.
Wait,
I
hold.
should say.
Who's firing? Sorry, who's firing who?
I know Adam was fired. One point for
From-
the
That sounds
administration.
like
From where?
Was he?
that sounds like not our
From Silver
purview.
Guns. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds like it's above us.
That sounds like not our issue.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
If they're talking about Senor Buns, I'm assuming. Yeah, I don't think you have to worry about that part.
That's a different report category.
Yep.
Mr.
Noted.
Mayor, is it density time? Have we reached maximum velocity?
I think so.
All right.
All right, let's hear it.
First things first.
I'll start with the one about murdering me.
Nope, we're gonna get to that one later.
All right.
I told you he was above 70.
What?
Hold on, it's not important. Okay. Brady Law, you're familiar with it, Crane?
Fuck you.
What do you think about the Brady Law?
What is the
I
Brady
think
law?
that we should create our own laws in this jurisdiction. And anyone who thinks they're clever by bringing in laws that literally took hundreds of fucking years of jurisprudence and policy making to come up
Government
with
grinder,
is probably an asshole.
Okay.
I think as a general policy, I think we should wait to see how the bench rules, and then if the council wants to discuss it after that, maybe that's when we talk about it.
So you guys don't think it's needed? And no threat of evidence destroying and whatnot?
If there is something that's needed, I think we can suggest and create our own laws.
What
I think
law is
citing
uncovered?
to and copy pasting from other jurisdictions is the fucking death knell of my enjoyment and sanity.
I don't want any sweaty lawyers.
Okay. What are you guys saying about making it illegal for cops to conceal and destroy evidence?
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, isn't that a
Mhm.
given?
Yeah, I thought that
Is it a given?
I would assume so, but is it not?
I mean, it's evidence tampering.
Yeah.
It's a charge.
there is a
Yeah.
charge. We can be charged with that criminally.
And if a cop is charged with evidence tampering, what happens to them, Dakota?
Firing.
I'd
I'm-
assume you'd get fucking fired.
Yeah, I don't
they've
want
been
to
fired
speak for what
At the
happens,
very
but
least.
yeah, I would be fired if I did evidence. If I was evidence tampering, and if I was in charge of people who were evidence tampering, I would fire them immediately.
That actually brings up an interesting little point here, to not tangent too much, but I believe only police are authorized to push charges as the state. Is that Crane? Who can push criminal charges right now?
The
Do they know?
prosecutorial powers are limited to the
3.0.
PD currently.
4.0 is different. I'm pretty sure shit
don't
like
know
that
how
does
However,
not fly.
Yeah.
However,
If you fuck up,
once again, as we discussed
witness
with the
tampering
Civilian Oversight
specifically, I'm
Board,
pretty sure you're gone.
Right.
That
if
is
there
the
was an
entire
allegation of
cleanup
evidence tampering by a cop in a
and
case,
changes is that this has to be
and you investigated
changed and serious.
with your board and found merit to that claim and made a recommendation to the PD that that officer be fired, not only would your recommendation be public in accordance with how your board's supposed to be run, but then PD would be put on the hot seat. And if they decided to circle the wagons and not fire that guy, well, I mean, God, no offense, Nakota, but good luck getting anything passed ever on this council again.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. If there was someone who was evidence tampering and came forward and they weren't fired, I would have a much harder time going into work. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I agree, and I just don't even know if this is a topic worth even unpacking. But are we wanting only the police to have prosecution powers for now?
I will not be creating any kind of district attorney's office or prosecutorial body in the near future. That's something that has been heavily reviewed ad nauseum, and it's
Mhm.
never worked well.
Yeah.
I could see myself doing all the fucking
Yeah, evidence
term.
tampering is the act of destroying, concealing, or removing a piece of evidence with the purpose of hiding the truth or making an item unavailable for an ongoing investigation or judicial proceeding.
If this is how it is, like talking about serious shit like this, I could see
So,
myself doing it on the term.
would we qualify withholding evidence as evidence tampering? Right? Yeah.
Correct. Specifically, the language of making it
Yeah.
unavailable for a judicial proceeding.
Okay. So it's already a law then. We're good.
Correct.
Mhm.
It would be
Thank
during
you.
discovery if, for example,
get more
the
done.
defense asked for all files
I
related
do
to
want
the
to.
PD's
I
case,
still don't know if I want to do.
and the PD didn't
like,
turn over
actual
that piece of evidence, that would be seen as
finger
evidence
stuff.
Okay. Next up, animal carcasses. They shouldn't be littering the streets. I'd like to propose a misdemeanor fine
Yes.
for
Should be
people
left
found
in
tampering with
nature.
or hauling around literal huge animal parts and just kind of just doing whatever the fuck they want with them. It's gross. It's unclean. It's a
health
sanitation
safety.
issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually happening.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, they're literally
It's
everywhere.
everywhere.
It's all
This
over
is
the
another
place.
Reed
Yeah.
thing. He
Right.
just carries one around. Yeah.
And, like,
It's not just
literally,
Reed. Dude,
no.
Yeah,
It's not
so
only
many people
carrying them
do.
around. People are placing them like
Yeah.
in places like Senior Buns, which is a food
In all of your
establishment.
apartments, like
Don't
they'll
they
put them in front
smell?
of every door.
Yeah, they
Yep.
reek.
Yep.
How do they
There's
handle
like
this
deer
smell? What the
heads
fuck?
everywhere. Like, yeah, there's like slabs of deer carcass, like just
Yep.
laying around that people will like try and put on people and
Yeah.
use as seating. It's beyond stupid.
Have you not noticed like people are mounting deer heads in really odd places, and yet
I'm gonna be
somehow you
honest
see
with
one
you.
every 10 seconds?
I want to.
I've been sleeping in the
I don't
chambers
know
on
if
the
I can get
second
this.
floor. I don't.
Okay. Yeah.
I
He
don't
doesn't
like the
get out
public
much.
that
I've seen
much.
I've seen a deer carcass in
I want to
here.
get something like this done.
I
I
don't
don't
Ooh.
think
Dropped it in the
mounting deer
hallway.
heads is that bad because a lot of people are doing it for decorative purposes. But
Yeah,
like,
but those
like
have been
slabs of
properly
meat or
taxidermied
legs
and-
or
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
is
The carcass on top of a
bigger issue.
street light is a bit odd for me personally.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it depends on
I feel like the
placement, of
only
course,
the
but-
only place you should leave that shit is back in nature where it's gonna get eaten anyways. Having it
Yeah,
around the
exactly.
streets and
Leave it for
everything.
the mountain
is-
lions.
Yes, having it around the streets, hanging in fucking streetlights, in the park, etc. That shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, I agree.
could- what would we call a charge for doing something like this?
Ooh, let's make it a fun acronym.
Okay.
I do
You want to
love
call it?
those.
You want to call it the Reed Law?
I'm down.
Repulsive,
Oh.
emergent.
Keep your meat to
uh,
yourself.
Let me cook.
I know a guy. Littering?
I'm no good at this, so
Yeah, well, everyone works
I'm
on
trying to think of a synonym
acronyms.
that starts with an E for like corpse. I'll work on it.
Can I backpack off of the carcassing with
Yeah.
some type of law surrounding hunting without a license? Because I don't believe there's one on the books right now.
really?
I believe it's just animal cruelty right
So
now.
the way we have it set up right now is, in order to hunt with a firearm, you need a license to carry the gun, so that solves the whole like needing a license to hunt thing. And then if you're not using a gun and you're not following the hunting protocols, then it'd be animal cruelty.
Okay, good to
Is
know.
that still like a 0-0 charge though? The animal cruelty.
No, that got fixed.
Okay.
It's huge now.
24 months, $1,800 fine.
Restoration
honest,
of
I just
environmental
ChatGPT'd
and
this,
ecological
Oh,
regulated
it's-
dignity.
exclusion of
says legally
exotic
permitted.
debris.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Nice.
There you go.
All right, hold on. Let me whip that up.
Wait, what? What did I miss?
What do you think for fines and whatnot for this?
What was animal cruelty again?
24
18
months and an $1,800 fine.
Mm-hmm.
24.
Responsible environmental ethique and
Probably
disposal.
scale it down by like half that, so 12 months and $900.
Sounds good to me.
Call it a misdemeanor.
So we are. I guess it's safe to say we're all in agreement on this.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just
Or
gonna slap that bitch
restriction
in right
on
now.
exposed. No, that's not. That's an E.
Yeah, the first one was good.
The first one was fine.
Wait, you still need a name for it?
Oh, I got regulated exclusion of exotic debris. So read.
Could I? Mm, I'll-
Responsible
What's wrong, bro?
environmental
Hold on.
ethique and disposal.
So TLDR on this is going to be anyone that leaves these carcasses,
Sanitation Enforcement Act. Huh.
where they shouldn't be. Is that the?
Yeah.
They shouldn't leave carcasses in public areas, basically.
So, as a police officer, what if I was able to figure out, based on evidence, who left that there?
You're referring to DNA.
I am.
Oh.
You should only have so you should only have DNA if they've committed a violent felony, and on top of that, the only time that you're granted warrants by the judiciary to gather DNA for the purpose of an exclusionary or inclusionary charge would be for exigent crimes. So
Yeah.
that
drug
sounds like a
trafficking,
minor.
violent felonies, things like that. If it was a misdemeanor littering
Misdemeanor.
charge, we're not going to allow you to gather DNA just for that.
I am okay with that. I just want to make sure something like this isn't an early opportunity for someone to act like a moron. That was
Nope,
it.
that
Yeah.
is always and will be the policy.
So
for-
sorry, is this charge you're putting in a misdemeanor then, Crane?
correct.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right.
Just trying to put the fire out before it starts.
That's the name of the game,
It's
bruh.
appreciated.
So any individual found to be abandoning animal carcasses or byproducts in public areas within city limits.
Yes.
If they're
Perfect.
dumping them out in the county, in the desert, I don't give a shit, to be honest.
Yeah.
Same.
Animals
Yeah.
are gonna take care
Okay.
of that.
Yeah, coyotes and shit.
Yeah.
We okay. Next one's a fun one. I'm a big fan of this one. Mutual combat laws.
Oh,
anyone-
sounds
anyone-
sketch.
Please,
Yeah,
no. Please, no.
Oh my
hey,
God.
hold on. This is what it was written as for notes. Consent to spar and the rights of the WWE should be respected. MMA should be respected. Let's have fight nights and empower the people to provide entertainment to the masses. Bread and circus is how you keep a population docile.
What does it mean? The rights of?
So this isn't the actual writing for whatever act we're talking about.
Yeah.
Essentially my vision was to have, if two people want to beat the shit out of each other, they could do it legally as long as they were being supervised by a police officer.
Does this absolve all liability?
Yeah.
And how do we gain consent?
Thunderdome.
The police officer would be the witness.
Okay, so the officer has to inform them of the risks, liabilities. They have to both affirmatively consent and waive
Oh, I feel
any
like that's a waste
liability,
of,
and
that's
then
waste of
inform.
PD resources.
Correct. What do you guys think about that?
Okay, so are we talking like sponsored events, or are we talking about just spontaneously two
Spontaneous.
people?
Spontaneous.
Okay, that's going
Yeah.
to be a manpower issue. First of
Yeah.
all, for
I'm
the
not gonna
police.
lie, I'm in favor because I used to do that in court all the time.
Yeah.
There were some times where I didn't feel like hearing a case between like Mike Block and the PD, and I just said, "Y'all want to scrap it out?" And if there were like 4 defendants and 4 cops,
If they
then
get more cops,
I'd be like, all
I don't
right,
have an
you
issue.
match up
Right
with you,
now,
you
it's
match
gonna
up with you one at a
be,
time. We'll do this like, death fight style, and it just worked out.
My stipulation.
I like it.
Hold on.
honestly.
I have to be a witness briefly in the Turgle case that's happening right now.
Oh, okay.
Shouldn't take more than 5 or 10 minutes. I apologize. Timing
not
was
a problem.
very poor. But
Mhm.
is that okay,
Alright.
guys?
I mean,
Yeah.
we could still discuss it while you're down there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I will return shortly.
My one stipulation, just instantly coming to mind, is I wouldn't want this to occur either like in the street, sidewalk, or even a public business, right? Like if it's
Yeah.
gonna happen like in a courtroom or an alleyway or something that's like not immediately obvious and like disruptive to people who don't want to view that sort of thing, then I could be on board with it.
Yeah, it can't just be anywhere willy-nilly. And again, I'm sorry if I'm speaking for you, Nakota, but I just feel like that's a manpower issue for PD, who are already pretty spread thin.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
bring a mess.
If it were
Into
to
it.
be a thing, it would have to have a designated area where said thing occurs before. I don't even know how they would go about. Would you just run up to an officer in the street and say, "Hey, will you regulate our state-sanctioned assault of one another?"
Right.
You know what? I got an idea.
Hit
What
us
if we
with
let
it.
judges do it?
Oh,
I'm down for that.
yeah, it gives them something else to do. Yeah.
I would agree, but what was proposed is something that could be
And it also, you can
spontaneous.
also confirm that there won't be any weapons involved because of the metal detectors. So you have it in the courtroom. The judge, gets liability waivers via verbal confirmation from the 2 participants. And then they have at it.
I think that's a good middle ground, honestly.
You
I'm
call
okay
down
with
an
that.
EMS, be on standby in case anybody gets injured, and you go from there.
Mhm.
I like that. Yeah.
The Liquid Library has a case that's true.
I wouldn't mind doing it. I already do in court sometimes, like I said. So
Exactly. Yeah, that's like, because I'm not opposed to the idea. It's just like we don't need to put more onto PD that are already strained. So to get to their calls.
yeah, I don't mind doing it as a judge. If people come into City Hall together and they want mutual combat, and they don't want
Yeah.
the risk of getting sued or getting arrested, then they come to
Yeah.
a judge.
And I know there's multiple other judges that would love something to do during their time between cases.
Sounds
It works
good.
for me.
Do we have a vending machine in this place yet?
I have lots of food if you need.
Yes,
Do
please.
not, I don't think.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
on
I got the
drinks in
ATM
here-
added,
Yeah,
but I
if
don't think we
anybody
got the
needs
food.
food, Kermit brought me lots.
Kermit didn't respond to my text, so we may need to fire him.
Oh my
He
god,
had
how could
to,
he?
he had to rush and take care of something.
I don't think
so-
this is a council meeting. He should be on standby. I don't. Not a good look, Kermit. Not a good look.
Okay, I got to place it down. I'm sorry.
In the
No, you're
future,
good.
just in case, there is vending machines at the laundromat. I think that's the closest to us.
You saying that's close?
Yes. For the hospital, that's
There you
even the
go.
closest,
Thank
and
you.
it's further west to
All
there.
right.
All right, get some food. It'd be fine.
I'm gonna be in my head a second. I'm here, but I'm updating all those charges we talked about under the vehicle shit.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
of
go
course.
to the toilet.
Not allowed. God, fuck.
I hope she goes in Max's office.
Michael, I have a question for you.
Yes, what's up?
Oh, cream.
You alright with me eating while we talk?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, of course. Either way, please. So I know I gave you like the
Yeah, maybe I'll take some
Suarez's
as well,
report
'cause,
card for the
I don't know.
vehicles.
you
If
good?
I had
Something.
like maybe you would know. If I had so one of the things that I need to
Alex, you
figure
still
out
with
how
me?
we're going to go about doing is getting the prison up to speed to actually hold people if they get sent to prison.
Oh wow, I just can't give in.
One of the things that I've been told repeatedly by
Stand up.
people is the architectural layout is less than ideal right now and is
Oh.
almost like keeps the entire thing open
Yeah, we're
and
getting some
inmates have
shit.
access to ways to get out of it currently. If I needed to speak to someone
I'm good.
down
Thanks.
the line, Do you know where I would go to do that, or who I could contact potentially?
Make a list of the
Okay.
issues with the place and give it to me.
Okay.
I feel like I've heard people literally like walking into the towers and jumping out.
Yes, that's what someone. Apparently, there's one walkway that you can go into. You go up a staircase and you leap across like one roof that is barely separated, and you can get out.
All right.
I know someone, so there's a. I got to talk to the captains, but